I knew we were going to catch Kate dancing.
Every time. It's so good. It's so good. Oh.
Pepper doggos, man.
Now they decide. They were rocking out too, just from a different room, clearly.
They were like, hey, how you doing? What are you doing? Why are you without us?
That's right.
Hello, friends. Welcome. There's lots going on in the chat, so we'll say hi to our friends who are here. JC and Regina. And more JC. Also, Kate was there saying hello. I know I seen a Bex. Can only stay for about 20 minutes, but wanted to hang out as long as she could.
Yay.
Regina finished her taxes, which is, as JC said, a heck of an accomplishment. I have already gotten my tax refund back and also paid bills. So,
well done.
I already got it and then let it go away. Hello, Briar. Welcome. Hello, Merlin. Welcome. I seen a Stacy. There's Stacy. Hello. Welcome. And Malin. Yeah, it just like, you know, she just turned and looked at me so like, did you touch me?
Did you grab my tail? This is for looking.
Touch my tail? Who said you could do that? You're just supposed to look at it. Hello, Hannah. Welcome to your first Authortube chat. It's not our first one. This is, I don't know, year 4 or something. I can't keep track. Yeah. Who knows? Not me. Hello, Kelly and Nick and Anna and Elaine. And I think that's everybody. That if I missed somebody, please yell at me and tell me that I missed you. But hello, welcome. Kate is still a wonky voice from last week.
Wonky. Yes, so I might be muting a little bit to cough just a tad.
We will not hold that against you.
Good.
We are 2 weeks late this time, I think.
Yes. Both of them my fault.
I don't think the second one is your fault.
I mean,
the first one is your fault.
I was gone. I was away, and then I got sick.
You forgot you were going to be away.
I did forget I was going to be away. We could have
planned accordingly, but we didn't.
Right.
So, if you don't know, we normally do Authortube chat on the 3rd Tuesday of the month, but almost every time it ends up being the 4th Tuesday. This month, for March, because this is technically February's, March's will 100% be the 4th Tuesday, because we're going to need those 3 weeks.
We are, because as Jess and I were discussing, we had to cancel like half of the Authortube chats last year, and then this year we decided to be as ambitious as ever, perhaps more so, and have one year-long book, and then also have a book every month and a movie or TV show every month. So we're really just lots of reading. It'll be fun.
And then last time when we were live, Kate told me that the intention of the book is that we actually have to do the exercises in the book. She never told me I had to actually do the writing part. I thought we were reading a book and we would try at the end. I didn't know that that's what we were doing.
Yeah.
Trying to take me out.
The first couple don't have really any exercises. They're easy exercises. Just to ramp up.
Malcolm, can you go play somewhere else? You're very distracting. I have to do a thing. Hold on.
Oh.
I have to make the sound that she doesn't like, and the sound, and nobody wants to hear that in their speakers. Hello, Kat. Welcome. Mullen says, just follow the Lazy Gang style of not planning anything in advance, and Bob's your uncle. Well, you see, we used to do that for years 1 and 2. We did not plan things. And then it would be like 2 days left of the month, and we'd be like, we haven't done this month's Authortube chat yet.
We should do it.
Which one of these 2 days do you want to do it on? So, we had to pick a day, and we picked third Tuesday of the month. And sometimes we hit it and sometimes not so much.
Mm-hmm.
Cool Gamer, I would click on you and say hi, but my mouse is currently not wanting to. There we go. Hello. Welcome. Don't worry, she'll be back. She, you know, there's people talking. She must be adored.
Yes.
So my first question of the evening for everyone is, did you read the intro to The Foundations of Screenwriting by Mr. Sid Field? This.
Let us know. I may or may not have skimmed through it just before this, but I have read it before. So I'm ready. I'm ready to discuss, along with all of these very specific underlines I did in my book.
I may have started reading this at 6 p.m.
For the first chapter. Yeah.
It was 14 pages, I think, of an introduction. Yeah. No big deal.
Not too bad.
It's not too bad. I highlighted 2 things.
Ooh. Oh, I'm excited to see if we highlighted the same thing.
I highlighted the things that he highlighted. Well, that he italicized. The hardest thing about writing a book, or the hardest thing about writing, is knowing what to write. That's on page 8.
Okay, I was like, I don't think I underlined that one. But I did squiggle mark something on page 8.
Squiggle.
Yeah, on the outside, the paragraph where he talks about how many screenplays he's read and like the percentage that he actually submitted, I thought was fascinating. So
99% went in the trash.
Yes. And I was just like, holy shit. Like, I know that those are like the numbers to expect from like when you're querying an agent for novel length stuff too. It's like pretty similar, but it was just kind of wild to read all of those 2,000 screenplays. I only found 40 to submit to our financial partners.
Yeah.
Wild. And he kind of discusses throughout the introduction, you know, why certain screenplays stand out. So it's interesting.
I also highlighted the last line / paragraph. Talent is God's gift. Either you've got it or you don't. But writing is a personal responsibility. Either you do it or you don't. And I was like, well, I don't. So
I put LOL next to that one too.
Right. That'd be the problem. I am in the don't category. So here we are. Therein lies the problem. Good morning, Grace. Thanks for listening to us while you're working. Regina read it. Stacy didn't know. First Authortube chat in a long time.
Welcome.
That's back. Okay, because it's kind of our first one in a long time too. So, you know, 100%. I'm assuming that's in reference to the thing that we said, or is it 100% goes in the trash? Is that what you're telling me? Rodney had not read it, and Grace read the intro. The intro is too long, in my opinion. I agree.
I also agree.
I think it is more. I think it's because it's an intro that he's wrote like 20 years after he wrote the book originally. But to me, it's too like, this is my life story, yada, yada, blah, yada. Like, just tell me why we're here and let's move on.
Here's the thing. This is what I confess. Much like I skipped the prologue of fiction, if there is one, I do tend to really skim through introductions to books, especially nonfiction, because they're just trying to like put their own personal reasons for being, like their personal history for stuff. And I'm like, I don't care with like the greatest like admiration for you having written this book that I will appreciate, but I just don't care. So I had a couple other underlying things. I don't know how much you want to talk about the intro, but yeah, it's too long.
What did you underline? What did you find that you thought was fascinating to the world?
Other interesting things of note. on page 9, when he was talking about he evaluates the screenplays in terms of cost, quality, and probable budget, which I thought was really interesting in this age of streaming. I remember, I think when I was at Comic-Con with Becca, we were listening to them talk about at the Vampire Academy. I know. At the Vampire Academy panel, and they were talking about how certain decisions, like the flexibility they get with doing things for the streaming medium, but also another thing is like budget for different things. So anyways, thinking about your screenplay because you know it's meant for the screen is different than writing a novel. So thinking about how much something might cost to do could affect how you write the screenplay. I thought was just something I never would have thought of coming from the novel world. But of course, after I read it, was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, because theoretically, not counting like, the people that you hire out, but the actual cost of you writing a contemporary romance is the same as you writing a sci-fi in outer space with unhumanoid aliens. Whereas if you're doing a movie or a film, if you will, if you want to be
a film,
then a romantic comedy, you need sets and things, but you don't need to build like a spaceship or set it up so that you feel like you're in outer space or design some type of unhumanoid alien and like the costuming of that. And so yeah, the cost matters in that aspect. Whereas we're like, we can put whatever we want in there and it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I also thought it was interesting where he talked about on page 10, I learned that most of the scripts that read well, meaning they featured lovely sentences, stylish and literate prose, and beautiful dialogue, usually didn't work. Blah, blah, blah. And he goes, that's not what makes a good screenplay, which I also thought was really interesting.
He said that they would make good novels, but they would not make a good screenplay, which was, like you said, interesting that was part of what was in there. The reason why I suggested we read the introduction, because I've met you and your tendency to not read things like that. Yes. If this had been like the first edition of this book, like he published it last year and we were buying it, I wouldn't give two craps about the introduction.
Yeah.
But when it's something like this that is revised and updated, and it's like something that they have, they've been removed from it, I like to see if they put anything in there about like what they've changed, what they've updated, if they've made it more modern to the times. And he does talk a little bit about that. I will say though, like, obviously you can tell that I'm not a film person, because he talks about how he'd originally planned to change the film examples. Realized most of them now are considered classics of the American cinema. Films like Chinatown, Harold and Maude, Network, 3 Days of Condor, and others. And I'm like, I've never heard of any of those. So
yeah. Yeah.
Have you heard of 3 Days of the Condor?
No, I've not. And also
Harold and Maude?
No. I haven't, and I agree with you. I'm also apparently like not enough of I'm not a film snob. I don't know why those words go together, but I just like a fan, a fanatic.
An aficionado?
Aficionado, yes. Yeah, because earlier, one of the things when he's talking about, it's all set up in the first few pages of the script, that it's incredible and like sets up everything you need. And he again says Chinatown, 5 Easy Pieces, The Godfather, The French Connection, Shampoo, and All the President's Men. I know Chinatown, The Godfather, and All the President's Men. I'm going, Becca's just like, how dare.
I know, I was getting ready to click on it.
And I'm just like, what?
Okay. So like Chinatown I've heard of, but I can't tell you what it is. No clue. Couldn't tell you. I've seen The Godfather. I don't really care about it, but it's a mafia movie from, however long ago. They are a part of your youth, and Becca's too, but we're not that old, okay? So it's not our fault. We've never heard of these things.
I'm excited. Harold and Maude sounds vaguely familiar, Becca, but like not in a way that I could tell you anything about it. So in that case, I just have to be like, nope, guess not. Here's the thing, though, maybe this will make us into film aficionados.
Look,
I am
that old.
You're old enough, Becca. Just attack.
Harold and Maude is from the 70s. Y'all get chill. No one talks about that movie nowadays. They're all from like the 70s. I'm like, I have no idea. Never heard of it. Never heard of any of these either. So see, I mean, back to where we were at before Becca had a panic attack. I remember someone saying how most movies aren't original screenplays nowadays. They're adapted from books, games, and remakes. That's absolutely true.
Well, this is a vague tangent, but only because it's like happening at this moment. But Daisy Jones and the Six, one of the biggest complaints a lot of people like me kind of, when we read it, if you didn't listen to it, if you just read it, it literally just reads like it was meant to be adapted. Like it seemed like she Taylor Jenkins Reid wrote that fully with that in mind, which isn't a bad idea. Like clearly it's getting made into, it's already been made. I think you can watch the first episode is out now already.
Yeah.
Like it was genius, but at the same time, you know, now there's books being made purposely with the point to turn it into a TV show.
When Daisy Jones and the Six, the book first came out and was like being very popular, every single person that I heard talk about that book that rated it a 4 or a 5 star said that they listened to it on audio. Yeah. And every person who read it said that they couldn't get through it and they had to go to audio and listen to it. And then they would rate it like a 3 star because although they loved the audio production of it, it didn't work as a book. So they wouldn't rate the book as highly.
See, here's the thing. I did read the book all the way through. I did not ever listen to the audio. I do fully understand that the audio would be better. And I do feel in the middle about the book. So add me to the list. There were parts I liked. It just was so clearly meant for the screen.
I was leaving.
And now just
she's like, you guys suck and I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Listen, that's just fun things we can do together when we hang out. We can experience them for the first time with you. See, we're saving that for you.
It was a pointed, it was meant to be. Also, Becca's like, the list is too long. We need to be there for like a month.
I'm down. The first 3 episodes are up and they are fun.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna watch it. I'm excited. I just have not started it yet. Mm-hmm.
Also, I found it interesting that he discusses filmmakers who have used his works.
Yeah.
And his examples, you know, he would say the person and then say their examples of the movies they've worked on that I have heard of almost all of.
Yeah.
But his James Cameron is Terminator, Terminator 2, and Titanic. Which, like, nowadays, if you think James Cameron, what do you think of?
The Avatar. But yeah. I still think of Titanic. But yeah.
I still think of Titanic, but you think Avatar because it's like the best grossing movie of all time.
Yeah.
So you're like, you didn't even put that in there. And you know this list has been updated because he has Tina Fey's Mean Girls in here. So like he's updated the list, but he clearly was like, fuck Avatar. I don't want Avatar in my book.
Oh, wow. Actually, my copy came out in 2005, Jess.
Really?
Yeah, so Avatar
Mean Girls was probably out in 2005, and Avatar definitely wasn't. So I'll accept that.
But still, dang. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, this one was revised in 2005. So it's not that new. It's not newly revised and updated. It's just revised and updated. Hold on.
I know. They should strike through.
I need a marker. It's just revised and updated. It's not newly revised. It is already almost 20 years old.
I hope that they re-release it and it's newly revised. Like, I hope that's what they do.
Look, it has now been marked out. It is not new. It's just revised and updated. Because new is not that loosey-goosey. Remember the vlog of you reading to Kate? I was like, can't tell if she loves it or hates it.
It was such an up and down roller coaster. I mean, it did make me cry, but I'm also an easy crier, and it only made me cry once and like not very hard, which in comparison to the other Taylor Jenkins Reid book I'd read, where I just sobbed repeatedly
for an hour.
Oh my God. Yeah.
The torture. The drama. Wait, I meant to click on Rodney is currently reading the book. I'm assuming they're talking about Daisy Jones and the Six.
Okay.
Terminator is the first movie that comes to mind for James Cameron. Avatar is such an overrated movie. I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying, like, I mean, it makes sense because it wasn't out. I just assumed it was because I was reading Newly, and my brain thought that meant like sometime within the last decade.
I mean, yeah, you were only 5 years off, right? Didn't Avatar come out in 2010 or something? 2009?
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, I would have.
So I was thinking, like, if you were trying to mention like things that people would know, you would go with the highest grossing movie of all time, even though it's not that great. So,
but it made a lot of money.
So Titanic is the first movie that comes to mind for James Cameron. I agree. Me too. It's the first one that hops in. I also don't think Titanic's that great, but that's just me.
Oh my God, I hate Titanic. I have seen it one time, so maybe I can't hate it. I saw it once and it's one of those things I kept guessing everything that was going to happen because I was the only one who hadn't seen it and everyone was forcing me to watch it. And I'm like, why isn't she just doing this? And it would take 5 minutes and then she would do it. But that was the whole movie for me. And I was like, too long. Not here for it.
It's too long. I fell asleep when I went to see it in the movie theater, which granted I was a child. But the smokestacks of the ship, is what woke me up and about fell clean out of my seat in the movie theater. It was great. That's not the one I wanted to click on. That's the one. I think it's the paradigm change to more visual media. The youth, trademark, on average, do lean more to the visual. Books are read, but not at the same level. Makes sense. Reed made basically a script. I mean, she did, but like, just be a script writer. Don't write a book. And it's a 3-star book. I haven't read it. I don't know. It could be a 2-star book for all I know. It could be a 5-star. Couldn't tell you. This is also why when before good writing included a lot more telling. Nowadays people expect more showing. Dun, 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 dun. Never saw Avatar. Only watch it for that one scene on the bow of the ship. And JP is gasping at you because I didn't say I hated it. I just said
that's what mine is. The controversial opinion.
Nope. Regina saw it once and that was enough. It's depressing. Like, people talk about how it's like this great love story, and I'm like, they knew each other for 5 minutes and then he died, and everyone else dies too. How is that anything but depressing?
Yeah, no. See, but I also think that The Notebook is not a good movie. That's also depressing. So like,
The Notebook is very depressing, and they have a very strange relationship. But also it will make you weep.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If you like the Titanic for the history part of it, she changed her name and I can't remember what the heck what's the name of the thing. I'm just gonna casually look up videos on YouTube right now while we're in the middle of a chat. Ask a Mortician did a video about 5 months ago that was about the SS Eastland. It's called The Forgotten Disaster of the SS Eastland. And it was I'll put the link in the chat. But it was about a ship called the SS Eastland that sank, I think in Chicago. It was somewhere like inland, like it was on a lake or something of that sort. See, I'm very intelligent and I know all of the things. Anyway, my point being that I had never heard of it until I watched this video that Caitlin put out, and it had a bigger death toll than the Titanic, and it was a couple of years later, in like 1914 or 1915, because the Titanic was 1912. Yeah, it was the first episode of So Weird. Merlin, I can't right now. Go play somewhere else right now. Thank you, buddy.
Love so badly.
Yeah, the SS Eastland video was so good. It was so well done. It was fantastic. And like I said, I had never heard of it until then. And it is just like, you want to talk about a cinematic masterpiece. However, it is one video of hers that has been demonetized because they say that it's like gross abuse of showing dead bodies and things like that because, you know, without an educational purpose.
Okay.
And I'm like, she educated me because I
like,
never
highly educational. Okay.
Yeah, it was a very interesting video. So if you are able to watch those kinds of things, go check it out. Rodney watched Titanic solely to watch the ship sink. Nothing else. The movie was interesting. I mean, okay. JC's obsessed with the history of the ship. Used to have a big poster of the ship. I mean, fair. You would probably like the SS Eastland video. You should watch it. You know.
I'm excited. Oh, I do actually love it.
I do not like Insta Love. They make me want to vomit. I can't do it. However, Jessica is demisexual, so like I can't. I'm also demi-romantic. I can't have those feelings for people that I don't have emotional connection to. So I cannot relate to Insta Love in any way, shape, or form, and it is so unfathomable to me. So
fair enough.
Yeah. Let's see. I watched the Titanic before bed so much that I wore out the VHS. Did you only watch one half? Or did you get up and change it? But because there's no way I'm getting out of bed. No way. The girlies all love Titanic and Moulin Rouge, and I was like, I like happy endings. Did we all not cry enough with Bambi? What's wrong with y'all? I mean,
not facts. I could not watch. You know what I couldn't watch was The Fox and the Hound.
That's God!
I just was like, my parents got it for me once as a kid, and I was just like, why would you do this?
Why?
Why?
Why is everybody's parents dead? Like, I know why, because I think Disney, his mom was dead, so all of his characters' moms were dead. But like, come on. We were joined by a Charlotte.
Chaos Queen.
Chaos Queen herself. Never saw Avatar, but saw Titanic so much because my older sister loved it. Now it's just nostalgic, which is fair.
Yeah.
Say less. The Notebook is the word. I will say the first time we watched The Notebook, I was with my best friend Brittany, who's still my best friend today, and her aunt, who is our age, and we were like 17, so we're talking 20 some years ago when it first came out on like DVD.
Yeah.
And it was the first time we'd watched it, and we were all sitting at the house, and like when we figured out what was happening and that the older people were actually the younger people, all three of us started bawling at the same time. And we were like, oh my God, this is not what's happening right now.
Can I tell you, maybe the reason I also don't like it is because I have a traumatic memory attached, which is that I had like just moved to a new place. I was with my tennis group for the first time. They're like, come over, we're going to watch The Notebook. And I'd never heard of it before. I was like, okay, that sounds good. Sure, like I'm gonna make friends in my new city. And I was the only one who cried, and like not just cried, like I had to leave and like just like walk out of where they were watching it because I was sobbing, and I was just like, oh no.
I'm just trying to make friends. How's that working out for you, Kate?
Yep, you know. It just took a little bit longer. They're like, okay, weirdo.
My little TV was right next to bed on a nightstand. Okay. I'm like, I have so many questions. Mullen says, oh my God, not The Fox and the Hound. The pain.
The worst.
Saw Titanic too many times that it became a matter of waiting 3 hours for the ship to sink. Yeah. It's so sad and like torturous. Next, was there anything else in the introduction that you want to discuss?
You know, I think we actually covered all the parts I highlighted. It did make me excited in some ways, even though it was too long. I was like, okay, I can tell I'm going to learn a lot by this book, other than it being recommended by Becca before. So I knew it was going to be good. I was like, okay, this is completely different than writing a novel. So
your homework for the 4th Tuesday in March, because we're already behind, is to read the first and second chapter, which is what is a screenplay and the subject. And the subject has a exercise at the end that you should work on as a class, except not together. I just mean, when I say you, I'm not just talking to Kate. I'm talking to all of you.
We're all doing it together.
We're doing this together. All in this together.
I have memorized that first little part of the dance too. Like I have it stuck in
the
my
clap, and then that's it.
Yeah, right.
It's less than 30 pages, so I mean, it's a quick read. You can read it tonight when we're done here, and then you'll be ready.
Yeah, and also real quick, the exercise is literally just like find a subject you want to explore in screenplay form. It's like write a few things down, brainstorm. Like it's an easy exercise. So don't be intimidated by the homework.
And if this is your first time hearing about us working on this, there's still time for you to get it and hop in, because it's only 42 pages to catch up. So
we're not
42 pages. That's including what you need to read for this month, last month, this month. Oh, 42 pages. All good.
Yes.
Wait. Homework.
Well, and technically part of all of the homework is, since we are the rest of the year choosing a book that has been adapted. If you don't
also have
homework, but that is also homework.
We also have a book for you to read and a TV show to watch, but we'll announce that after we're done talking about this month's book and movie. Mullen, I'm always the kid who does the homework at 2 a.m. the night before. Listen, Kate and I both finished reading our reading today. I watched Holes last night. I had planned on watching it on Sunday, and I didn't have any internet the entire day, but I had power, so I'm not complaining, because most people in my area didn't have power. In fact, I left work 2 hours early today because we didn't have power.
Was it just a storm, or like what happened?
We had really bad storms Friday night. A lot of wind damage in our area. My power flickered a couple of times, but I had power. But like a couple of the guys that I work with didn't get power back until Sunday. And then Sunday, I didn't have internet the whole day. Don't know why, but again, not complaining, because A, I read 2 books because I didn't have any internet, and B, I had power, so no complaints. JC loves homework.
Good.
Scrivener does have a screenplay format, and indeed you do.
You do have to learn a little bit on how to use it, I will say, Regina, but like you might just be able to. I'll see if I can find a video and I'll post it up, because the last time I tried to do it, I was like kind of confused on like when I needed to tab over or enter and like whatever. But
Becca probably has something on her channel about.
You're right.
About formatting screenplays or something.
Yeah,
it's Becca.
It's Becca. She's got a lot of good tutorials.
She's got a lot of interesting stuff over there that we don't do because we don't know how to do.
But we're learning.
Please don't ask us to be professionals. Did you read or watch Holes by Lewis Sacker? I didn't get mine out because it is already in Danica's room. Because that's where my red books are currently living while I have no shelves.
Oh, fair enough.
Oh, look at this. We didn't get the worst of the storm. Our friend's barn roof came off. That is true. That's my nephew. It didn't happen really bad here, but they lost their barn. So they were planning on rebuilding anyway, but at like a later date when they had more time and money.
Yeah.
Now is the time. Now is the time. The format's intimidating. Yes, check out Becca's channel. She's got all the info. You know how Becca is.
Yeah.
Google Docs also has a free extension for screenplay formatting. Also interesting. Mullen says, no, she did not read or watch, so she has decided this is her cue to go to bed. Have a fantastic night. Sleepy, sleepy. Oh, look, Nikki's here. VIP can tell that I enjoy cheeseburgers. I do enjoy a cheeseburger. Thank you for noticing.
I also enjoy cheeseburgers.
Is it because of these fatty cheeks I have? Is that why you can tell that I enjoy cheeseburgers? Wow, genius. But Nikki's here. Hi, Nikki. Welcome. Let's see. Where did I miss? Google Docs. Nope, wasn't that one. This one. There are a bunch of YouTube tutorials on how to use it. Looked it up recently, and it's pretty easy once you get the hang of it. Fantastic. Yeah. Couldn't get through the first chapter. It felt like high school English class required reading. It probably was high school English class required reading for a lot of people. But I didn't read it in school. I didn't read it until February. Did you read it in school?
I actually don't think I was required to read it in school, but I did read it as a kid. So like I don't remember it being part of like a curriculum class that we talked about, but like I know I read it as a child because I really loved it. And I love it now.
Tori read it in one day and watched the movie the next day. I read it at the beginning of February and then watched the movie yesterday.
I actually watched the movie first and then read it. I also have some interesting notes in my phone about the timing that certain things happen in the movie versus the book. So I'm excited to dig in.
Let's see.
Oh, 5th grade for Briar. Maybe it was then. Maybe that's why I read it. I don't know.
My 5th grade read it this fall and watched the movie years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Way too dark for my age group. You think Holes is dark? Well, okay. The past story is very dark. You got me there. I'm like, Holes isn't that bad. And then I'm like, rewind your brain, Jessica. It actually is pretty dark in the middle.
I mean, lots of it's real dark. I mean, yeah, even the current day story of imprisoning children is like forcing them into labor.
Enforced child labor is normal. I mean, if you actually read the format info page on Scrivener, it tells you about all the things it can do. Who'd have thunk? Apparently not me, blatantly ignoring the format info page for the last 3 years and wondering how to do stuff.
Yeah, you know what? Me too.
Amanda also read it in 5th grade.
Okay.
5th grade. Kitchen of May watched the movie in 7th grade. And my nephew said they watched it last year, which he would have been in 6th grade.
Okay.
Wouldn't let a 10-year-old read that. I mean, it's written for 10-year-olds.
It is written.
It's a mid-grade novel.
Yeah, and it's got the Newbery Medal.
Newbery Medal.
Like dug into the, like printed with it on.
Anna from Argentina, welcome. Read Holes and I really loved it. Now I'm reading Linked by Gordon Corman.
Oh, I haven't heard of that.
Amber has never read or seen Holes, but wanted to stop by and say hello. Welcome, Amber. Hello. Regina's having an interior panic attack right now. I can feel it.
I remember this too, Kat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In the book, this goes to what you can do in a book that you can't do in a movie. In the book, Stanley starts out overweight, and as he's there working his rear end off, he ends up working his rear end off and ends up being skinny. And the director was like, I'm not putting a child through that. It is unsafe for a child to have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I 100% respect the director for doing that because I agree.
Yeah. And young Shia LaBeouf was a great Stanley too. So
he was a great Stanley. And I feel like, if you want to do that as an adult, go right ahead. But me looking at children, no, thank you.
Yeah.
This is why I write sweet romance. I mean,
yeah,
which is fine. You're allowed to write whatever you want and read whatever you want. I like, let's see. What did you like about the book versus what did you like about the movie?
Okay. So here's something interesting. Isn't it? The screenplay was actually written by the author, was it not?
Yes.
Yeah. So Lewis clearly did a great job of interpreting his own book, and also it's at times, because I pulled up the movie while I was reading today, at times word for word and places. And so it's one of those things where it's like the same thing I liked in the book, I liked in the movie. I think the actors did a great job, but also the relationship and like friendship between Stanley and Zero, you get to explore a little bit more in the book. Like there's more dialogue, more back and forth. So like savoring those moments, I think is nicer. I do think the movie does a better job of getting like flashbacks to the family. So we get to see more conversations and like Stanley living there than we do in the book. And that could come down to like the medium itself, which I think is interesting. So yeah, I think those are the things that stand out for me between the two. What about you?
That is exactly it.
Okay.
Like in the book, you got more interaction between Stanley and Zero. You got more of like him teaching Zero how to read. Mm-hmm. There was also more of the drama over Zero digging Stanley's holes.
Yes.
It was a longer process than just like that one day.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had a fight about it, and then Zero ran off. Yeah. It was actually like a long period of time where the others were upset about it.
Yeah.
So that I liked better in the book. Like the French, they did a good job in the movie.
Yeah.
But it was better in the book. And as I was watching last night, I definitely was like, I love that the parents are more involved in this storyline. Like we see them more, they're there more. They, we're getting flashbacks to their house. Even when he's like reading a note from his mom, instead of seeing him like sitting at the table reading the note from his mom, you see them at the apartment, acting out whatever it was that she was telling him about them having done, which is great for a film.
Yes.
I also like that at least from what I remember, the end of the movie was more, the bad guys got their just desserts. Like they got actual punishment. Whereas like in the book, they didn't really get the punishment. I don't think the thing about the guy being a missing.
No,
that wasn't in the book, but it was in the movie. And then there was the thing about the doctor not actually being a doctor.
Yeah.
And then they were arresting her, which, I mean, I know that in the book they talk about how the place is like being dismantled. And like there's some only it's explained more. The ending is more fleshed out in the movie than it is in the book.
Yeah, I agree with that. I will say just before the sort of like epilogue, I did like in the book that the attorney general, or that the lawyer was like, no, we're taking Zero, because the attorney general didn't have any information on him either. It just felt more true to life. Whereas in the movie, we get the version where the AG is like fully team lawyer and Stanley, and like it makes sense why they didn't go all into that. But I thought the book version was just slightly more realistic in that way.
I wonder if people complained about the ending not feeling full enough.
Ooh.
And so when he wrote the screenplay, if he put more in the ending, because of the last line of the movie is, you can fill in the rest of the holes from there.
Yeah, which he does say in like that's a line somewhere in, you will have to fill in the holes yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think so too. Also that it's called Part 3, Filling in the Holes, and it's like a whole 2 chapters or 2 pages. Right. But yeah, no, I think you're right. I think he did flesh out the back end in a more satisfying way in the movie.
Because he did in the book, they did say that Zero found his mom. He hired investigators, found his mom. And in some fantasy world where they get to keep all of that stolen loot, they split the money and became rich, because that's not how that works. I mean, maybe if it had been over 100 years.
And it was in Stanley Yelnats, the first briefcase, that they're like, well, I guess it was the family. Yeah.
There would be a record of that stuff having been stolen. I have a lot of questions about that aspect of it, but it's a children's book and I'm going to let it go.
Yes.
But like, you don't get the, like they moved into houses next door to each other, and the boys from Cabin 10 like came and hung out with them, and we're like having a grill out in the backyard, and we're watching Sweet Feet's commercial. Like, you didn't have that in the book.
Yeah,
So,
in the book, I was disappointed because literally the book just says like, oh, Stanley and Zero were the only kids there watching, you know, the Sweet Feet commercial. And I was like, no, the boys being there jumping into the pool is way better. Like it was just.
And then doing the rap, you know.
Yeah.
Digging a holes rap.
Okay, I will say, like, starting with that song, they had some good choices.
There was some good choices in there.
Yeah.
I mean, Zara stopped in to say hi. Having a busy day. Ty also popped in to say hi. Listen, just because you changed your avatar from last night doesn't mean I don't know who you are. Can't hide from me.
Can I say one of the other things I think is interesting about
I have no other talking points, okay, so you go on. Okay. You have at it.
I'm ready. The thing that I think is interesting is that in the book, we don't find out what happened to Barf Bag until Zero tells him when they're like out in the desert, like coming back or like whatever. Whereas the movie opens with Barf Bag taking off his socks and shoes to try and get bitten by the rattlesnake. I mean, succeeding in getting bitten, you know? And I
layers in some tension.
It does. Sequentially, it like fully makes sense why you would show that to start with. It was just interesting to me that what worked in the book, because actually I think the book, the opening like 2 or 3 chapters, they're so short, but it paints such a cool picture. Like I love when we get these short chapters.
Yeah.
And then move it. Like it's just so good, but like it wouldn't have made sense to put the Barf Bag stuff though, because it's Stanley's story. But we as the viewers start sort of anyways, yeah, an interesting difference.
Well, and I think the way that they wove in the past story made it didn't, I'm not going to say that it was better or worse, but it made more sense to me in the book than it did in the movie. Because in the movie, in the beginning, when you first start getting those flashbacks, you have no clue other than them having mentioned that Stanley's Stanley's great-great-grandfather was robbed by Kate Barlow. Like, you don't know that she's Kate Barlow because they're like, so like it didn't make a whole lot of sense because I've seen the movie before. When I was watching it, I was like, okay, I know what this is. But like, I guess it was more of like a mystery when you were watching it the first time. Whereas in the book, it's very plain that that's the story that you're hearing.
Yeah. It definitely is so much more of a mystery in the movie when you're trying to connect what these seemingly 2 disparate storylines are about. Whereas, yeah, in the book, it's not only is it pretty clear, but also like Stanley is smarter he's not dumb in the movie, but he's smarter in the book. He connects a lot of stuff earlier on. And like even the thumb thing, Stanley mentioned pretty early in the book, being like, oh, that looks like the thing that my granddad or like granddad talked about. Like, I guess this is the same area. And like, we don't get that until near the end.
It wasn't even like he ran off because he seen it and he knew they could make it. It literally was like they had already run off and they were dying. And he was like, oh, look, a thumb.
I've heard something like that before. Yeah, literally. Yeah. Whereas it's just, in the book, you're like, oh, they were going for it. They knew. And like, yeah.
I do love the Zero asking Stanley if his last name is his first name backwards. Yeah. And like having that because they were, like a reflection back on him teaching Zero how to read. Fantastic. You have a void kitty on your desk. I, for some reason, was sitting here thinking Merlin was in front of me. And then I like looked down and I was like, that is not your cat. That is Kate's cat.
Not your cat and not your house. But yeah.
Right. Not my cat, not my house. My brain just like went.
But sometimes it does look like a mirror. You're like, that shouldn't be there. Wait a second.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I like the new avatar. It's very nice. I like updating avatars. I should do mine. It's like a year old. It's time. Regina may have to try the book again now that taxes are done. because we both like it.
Do it,
I mean, if you're not willing to invest the time in the book, you could watch the movie, because the movie is a fairly accurate and faithful interpretation, because the screenplay was written by the author of the book.
Yeah, it's much more like nitpicky things we're talking about, where we're like, yeah, the book did this better, but like, again, like they're such minute things really that like the heart of the story is still in the movie as well.
I mean, anytime you change a movie to a book, a book to a movie, you have less time and more money constraints, as we've discussed. And because you have to keep the person I was going to say viewer, but I mean, okay, viewer. The way you have to keep someone entertained is different, because it's a different medium. So you have to like change the placement of some things to make the story flow better in a movie versus a book. So I mean, I'm one of the most faithful adaptations I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, 100% agreed. I want to say the only other note specifically I had that I thought was really interesting is we get the Hector Zeroni reveal quite literally at the 50% mark in the book. Like it's at, when I was listening, it was 2 hours and 18 minutes through, 2 hours and 9 minutes left. And when I went and looked at it, yeah, it's literally at the 50% mark, 51% mark. And the movie is actually like a little bit later on, not a lot later, but a little bit later. Let me see if I took a picture of it, I think. It's, yeah, like 10 minutes off the middle point. And I just thought that was an interesting difference. It didn't feel it, but
I can tell you that the first time I watched the movie, I didn't even catch it until they told me that. And then I was like, wait, what?
That's because in the movie, it was so much more confusing. They mentioned Zeroni like one time, which again, I think that's supposed to be the point where you're like, oh, these are like super connected.
Right.
In the movie, like as you're doing the mystery unfolding. But like, again, in the book, this is the only mystery sort of left to solve in some ways.
Yeah. Like how do you get rid of the curse? This is how.
How.
In the movie, I think because we've seen Madame Zeroni one time and you don't think about, I guess, because as a kid, you're thinking about the kids. You're thinking about the modern day, them digging holes problem. You're not thinking about what his no good, dirty, rotten, stealing great grandfather and the stuff that he did in the old country. Mm-hmm. And so when they talked about it, and then I was like, wait, they did what? And then I had to look it up. But again, this was like when I first watched this movie in like 2000 and whatever.
Well, it's like also beautifully done in a lot of ways, the way Lewis kind of not buried it, but like he made it important to the plot that everyone thinks Zero's so dumb and that like there's nothing in his head. That's why he's called Zero. And like we don't have any information on him. His parents are gone. Like you don't question it necessarily. And you're just like, oh, he trusts Stanley so much to tell him like, oh, actually my real name's Hector. And then you get Hector Zeroni. And so like I can see how it would also be easy to miss in the movie because it just feels like a sweet moment between them.
Yeah. Well, and like you've heard the name twice at that point.
Yes.
And like, were you paying that much attention? Like,
I'm not great with names anyways. So yeah, no, it totally.
Who knows? Let's see. Currently going through and watching other movies adapted from books and comparing them since trying it with Holes. Seeing the similarities, differences is eye-opening.
Oh, Kat, tell us which ones you've been doing it with.
Absolutely. And then what I need you to do is read Vampire Academy and then watch the Vampire Academy movie and then watch the Vampire Academy TV series.
Jess.
Because it is like 3 whole different worlds.
Jess, can we make that a month? This is our show. Can we just do that for us?
For us? Sure. One of us hasn't finished the Vampire Academy season of TV yet. So
one of us also has not finished the whole Vampire Academy series because she got too upset, in like a great way, in a good way.
I need you to read the fourth book because it will solve all of your problems.
I know. Well, see, this will catapult me, Jess. We'll read the first book, watch the movie, watch the TV show, and then I will continue to read the books.
Okay, we'll make that a month. We were supposed to find ones that we could find screenplays for, but we're just going rogue now.
Cool. Well, okay, by the way, when we talk about it later, when we announce fully, next month we do have the screenplay for, so that you can actually read the screenplay as you're watching the first episode of the show that's correlated to this book. So like we'll try and mix it up. And maybe, because they're kind of hard to find actually. So maybe it's like every other one we can try and put conscious effort to find the screenplay.
Listen, all I know is that it would be a great conversation because they are all so different.
So different. That's what I'm saying. It'll be good. It'll
be great. It'll be a great conversation.
Here's the thing, and me and you might be the only ones who like all three.
I love all three. I don't even like all three. I love all three with every fiber of my being.
Yeah.
I have my Vampire Academy hat over there on my stand that Kate and Becca got for me when they were at Comic-Con. Just over there chilling.
Oh my God, we'll have to wear them. I can wear
mine. We'll wear our hats.
We should have Becca guest star with us, and then we can all wear our hats and then all talk about all three.
Let's do it. Becca, you're not here, but you just got volunteered. You're welcome.
You got volunteered.
Let's see. I think I read one Vampire Academy book. Listen, one's all it takes. You just got to read the one. Bridge to Terabithia was the last one I did. You are a stronger woman than I am because that book is
so sad.
So sad and so boring. I never watched the movie. I think the movie's better, but it might be that when I'm reading, I feel I don't understand it as good as if I would when I were to watch the movie. Which this goes to what we were talking about earlier with the younger generation trademark, because again, he's, what are you now? 13, 12, somewhere around in there. I can't keep track. I have 30 nieces and nephews. I don't know how old they all are. Screenplays are so hard to find copies for. I love an Instagram who share side-by-side comparisons, and you can message them for a copy of the script. They're the best.
Grace, drop the link.
Feel free to share. 13. See, you're even allowed on the internet. Don't tell people on the internet how old you are. What's wrong with you? If Wallace was here, she would be in shambles.
That's great.
Listen, you know, it's fine.
Oh my gosh. But at the end of the year, we should try and do a questionnaire, and we'll put people's, this is the problem. They would have had to have read all the books with us and watched all the shows, but we could ask them what age they are, and we can see if there's actually anything different.
Correlation to like, which one did you like better and how old are you?
I'll set something up.
I did ask you. That's why I was giving you a hard time, because I was it's fine.
Thank you.
Where are we at in this conversation? There was something else. Something else about for some reason, when I watched the movie the first time when I was younger, I didn't realize that Sam died. Like, for some reason, I didn't realize like that was like the catalyst. I thought that like, I don't know if I like missed the apparition disappearing thing, and my brain just thought that they both died by the bites from the lizards, or what my brain went to. But when I read the book, I was like, oh no, yeah, that is what happens.
It's quite a quick scene on the river though, isn't it? Or the lake. Like it's like, and I think maybe because it was like a kid's movie, they were trying to not make it too egregious, but like it's like 1 second he's there and when he's not. And so if you happen to just like look away, I don't know that you would have put that together actually.
I mean, it is just a second, but like she does walk straight into the sheriff's office and just kill him in his chair.
Yeah. Yeah. That was so good.
So much justification.
I know. I'm trying to think. I was telling my partner that this movie, when I saw when I was a kid, started my love for Dulé Hill, who's also in Psych, which is like my favorite TV show of all time. And so getting to rewatch this, I was just like, oh, what a treat. I think, speaking of that, because I think different actors really I think all of the actors did a phenomenal job, but I think some of them like heightened the book version. Like the warden character, I found much scarier and much more intimidating in the movie than I found her in the book. Even though technically like all the actions are the same, I just think that like the dialogue changes they did and Sigourney Weaver's like grasp on that character, I was like, oh damn, she's scary. Whereas in the book, I don't know, I didn't find her as terrifying.
The scene which is interesting, but the scene of her when she was a teenager digging holes with her grandfather was so good. Like that was 100% her, even though it wasn't.
Yeah.
Like it was like her personality, whoever that actress was that they got to play a young warden did such a good job of impersonating the personality of the adult character. Fantastic. That was one of my favorite scenes where I was like, she got attitude even then. She's like, I don't want to do this anymore, Grandpa.
Yes. Agreed.
I don't know how her grandpa was still alive when she was a teenager, and I mean, is she 50 in the? I don't know. Anyway,
generations were a little screwy in my head when I was trying to place a timeline of them. Like it makes sense, but like kind of not.
Well, I think you also have to look at like when was the book originally published, and then when was the movie put out, because then you have to like figure out what timelines would work with things that they didn't actually work with. And
oh yeah,
because you're like, is this in modern day or is it set 20 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Or 30 years ago, or 40. I don't know.
Yeah.
Bye, Ty. Have a wonderful day. Yeah. Books versus movies. I can listen to audiobooks all day or watch movies, but reading is hard for my brain sometimes. I also do better with audiobooks than physical books, so I feel that.
Oh, I will say, because I switched between physical reading and the audiobook for this one, the audiobook narrator I really liked for Holes.
I did too.
They did like
the same one.
I'm assuming so.
Sometimes some books.
Does it tell me?
Will have 43 different narrators.
That's true.
I think I borrowed that one from Hoopla too.
Oh, did you? Where is it going to tell me? Do I have to go all the way? Oh, it's just not going to tell me, huh?
I guess I didn't borrow that one from Hoopla. I'm a giant liar face. Libby?
Oh, Carrie Beyer might be who did it. Is Carrie Beyer or not?
Narrated by Carrie Beyer.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, loved it. Fantastic. Here for it. Over the weekend, since we're talking about audiobook narrators, over the weekend I read both the second and third book in the Reckoners trilogy by Brandon Sanderson.
Oh, yeah.
And the narrator is McLeod Andrews.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I really like this guy. Does he narrate anything else? Literally 513 titles on Audible are narrated by McLeod Andrews. I was like, okay. First off, all of the Warrior Cats books.
Oh, yes.
All of them, which is hilarious. Most of Karen and McManus. There was another one that was like a popular one that I seen that was like a whole series. And I was just like, well, now I know that if I am hurting for an audiobook and I want to find one, I can just look up McLeod Andrews and pick one.
No, isn't it?
I love the way he does his voices, and
Yeah.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything else they would like to talk about with Holes? The book, the movie, the adaptation process. Do you think they did a good job? Anybody, anything before we announce next month's homework or this month's homework because it's already March?
Oh yeah. Oops.
We're really bad about that.
It's fine.
It's fine. Mostly I just, want to run away and live in a circus.
Oh, not French Chateau. This time it's circus.
I don't want to go to the circus. It was a joke. It was a lie. Give me to my French Chateau. Are you coming too?
Mm-hmm. What kind of question's that?
I'm like, you can bring the other person who lives in your house and the fur babies.
Yeah, no, I'll bring us all.
Bring everybody. What made us choose Holes? Honestly, we were not sure how this was going to go, and we agreed that at any time we could decide that we didn't want to do this route. But we chose Holes because it is fairly short. It's something a story we were both familiar with, and something that was easy for everybody to find.
Yeah, it was a good call, I think.
Because we weren't sure how we were going to feel about doing both a reading and a book and a movie in the same month, and doing like the comparison. It was a good idea that I had. Apparently this was my idea. I don't really remember. I remember it, but at the same time, I'm like, but do you remember it? So it was a good idea that I had, but we never know if we're able to execute or not, especially after last year. So
it's always a surprise to us. Yeah. I think we learned a lesson with the Count of Monte Cristo. So
I think you mean the Curse of Monte Cristo.
Curse of Monte Cristo, yes. The only other thing I have to say about Holes is just like it really makes me think that I need to like make this if not annual, but like every other year reread, like how much I enjoyed it. Like I just got so much joy out of rereading this book and watching the movie that I was just like, wow, I literally not read it since I was a kid, and I was over here like, this is a grand time. I'm having a good time.
I plan to do. I know I just didn't. Well, okay. Some of you may not know because I didn't film it, and I don't know why. I need to do that before I get rid of the books. I did an unhaul in February of like 50 some books. Most of them were books that I read because I was moving everything from in here to the other room. So I was unhauling them as I went, but I know that I started it like most of the way through the process. So a lot of them are like in boxes and stuff in Danica's room. And so I was like, okay, when I take all of these back into here, when my bookshelves are done, I'm going to do another unhaul and get rid of things. Holes is not one that I will get rid of. I really enjoyed it. I liked it. I may read it again. I plan to hold on to it.
Yeah.
I don't love it as much as I love my mid-grade spooky. Don't get me wrong.
Fair enough.
And I do love the movie. I will genuinely watch the movie again. It might for a while. As you know, I tend to just watch the same movie every night when I go to bed, and it may just be the one for a while. So
yeah, that's a good choice, though.
Just put it on. Go to sleep to kids singing raps about digging holes.
Oh, dig them holes.
Yeah, I think it's enjoyable. I think it's fun. I think both mediums are good. I think that it's harder to like compare the two things because the author did write the screenplay, so you know that they're going to be faithful to their own story, or at least you would hope they would be faithful to their own story. Somebody's apparently angry. But yeah. So. Are you ready for me to hit the other button that reveals next month's book and adaptation?
Yes.
I don't have a copy. Do you have a copy?
I do not. I was literally just thinking that. I was like, oh no, I don't physically have a copy of this book. I should buy this book though, because I did enjoy it the last time I read it.
It's okay. I'll hit the button and then we'll at least see it. 1, 2, 57. Next month's book and adaptation is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. I don't know how many episodes of the show there are. Like, is it like a mini series? Is it like a 24 episode series? What am I signing up for?
No, it's a mini series. And also, I think they actually were going to make a second season, but I could be wrong about that. It's a mini series.
They did do a second one, but it's like The Haunting of Blythe Manor, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. I do see. Yeah. I was trying to get an episode number easily. 10 episodes.
Okay, 10 episodes. We can do that. 10 episodes, a 7.5-hour audiobook. I don't know how many pages it is because I'm going to be listening to the audiobook because y'all know me. And then Kate did find a...
Yes, I found the screenplay for the first episode. So really, your homework isn't necessarily to watch all 10 episodes, unless you want to, like I will be doing, because I never watched it in the first place. But it'll be just the first episode. And I don't know if you have it linked, Jessica, but I'll go post it on my Instagram stories as well so that people can find it.
I don't have it linked anywhere, but I will definitely share it. And I'll share it on
Community tab. I'll do that too.
The community tab. And also, if you don't know, you could have already known what the thing is that we're doing. Maybe not. Did I do it in this one? Hold on, let me look here. Oh, yeah, it's 100% in the description section. Next Authortube chat, Tuesday, March 28th on Kate's channel, current Authortube chat book club book, The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. See, you could have already known.
I know.
But I have that down there in my notes, and so I will add the link for the screenplay there as well. So it's easily accessible for you to find from any of my videos posted from today until the end of the month. Favorite Netflix series. Have it borrowed from Libby now. If you have Libby, if you have Hoopla, which is like a cousin to Libby, if you have a Hoopla, it is available on Hoopla, and pretty much everybody's Hoopla is the same. So if you have a Hoopla account, and if you don't, you can get one. It's just Hoopla, Hoopla, and you just need a library card from anywhere, I think, to sign up for that.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be fun. It's great. I'm excited. I haven't read it or watched it, so it's going to be a new one for me.
Yeah, I'm really excited. That's all I know is that it is the show's much different. So unlike this month's where it was remarkably the same, the book versus the movie, we're going to have so many differences to talk about between the TV show and the book. So it'll be fun.
The face. Yeah, we'll have more notes to compare.
I think so.
Will I actually take notes? Probably not.
I will text myself ideas and concepts and hope I remember them. That's usually what I do.
That is better than what I do, which is just note things in my mind and go, I hope I remember that. Do I remember that? No.
You know what? You're so good about like book wrap-ups, though. I feel like part of your brain just stores this knowledge really well. You're like, yes, I can review this.
Maybe I can remember. What about one of the old movie adaptations? More to compare. I mean, you're not wrong.
Read it now.
But listen, don't give me more stuff to do. We've only got 3 weeks, okay? I've also got to write an entire novel to Kate. I'm on chapter 2. Okay.
I'm finalizing chapter 4, so we're chugging along.
I'm actually on chapter 3, but I didn't finish chapter 2 because I gave up and was like, I don't know what to put here. And so I skipped to chapter 3.
Okay.
We have to write whole novels by the end of the month. Give us a break.
Do we want to have a chat, a little chit chat after this about chapter 2?
No, it's fine. We can talk about it if you want. I don't care. We could do a book in the future that has both an older and a newer remake movie-wise. I don't want to do, I mean, I know that we're doing it for Vampire Academy, but that's the thing that we love.
That's
and like we already watched it. We're already familiar with it. It's a little harder for everybody else, but they're not the ones that have to sit here and talk about it.
Exactly.
So like for us, that's fine. But if we're going to do something older, that means it's more like classic, which is not really our jam. But yeah, we could do something with a book, an older adaptation, and a newer remake. If you have any ideas about that, Kat.
May I suggest also, I was thinking like various Agatha Christie stuff could potentially be good for that.
Yeah.
There's been a couple new ones with Benoit Blanc. Not Benoit Blanc. Who am I talking about? My gosh, I've pivoted over to the one that's like Agatha Christie, but not. Poirot. There's been a couple other Poirot movies recently. So we have those. We have like I want to say like 20, 30 years ago one, and then the book. So like we can dabble.
I've been on chapter 2 of my rewrite since January. I've only been on it since February because in January I re-outlined the whole novel. I did 40,000 words in January. No, 20,000. Stop me. I did 20, not 40. That is way too much. I did 20,000 words in January, but it's an outline at 20,000 words when the original draft was only 40. So theoretically, I have so much more content and should be able to write the thing. However, it's been 6 weeks and I've written nothing. So
I believe in us. We're just trying to procrastinate a little bit so that we really feel the pressure.
Right. That's it. I've been short story writing. There's a competition due soon. Fingers crossed. Absolutely. Good luck.
Hey.
Nikki's library doesn't do hoopla. That is rude.
Yeah.
Throw them out the window. Still trying to get past the brainstorming. I feel that. Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah.
There is an Orient Express. We'll have to do some research. If you guys ever have any ideas for a book to movie adaptation that you would like us to do, if it's something you've been wanting to do that you want somebody to tackle with you, or if it's something that you love and enjoy and you want other people to hopefully enjoy it also, you can always DM either of us and we can add it to our list of things. Because as you learned with the Vampire Academy discussion earlier, this is very organic. We just make things up as we go.
Yes.
My town is too small. No. What you should do, Nikki, is go on the internet and look up libraries that you can get a library card from where you don't live in the city. I don't know exactly the way to word that, but like the New York Public Library will do that. I think only for students, but I know there are other libraries where like you can pay a $10 fee for the year and they'll allow you to have access to their entire library, their online library. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you're willing to pay, $10 or $15 for a library, it's kind of like a donation to the library. But basically and you can do it for like larger library systems, like the New York Public Library, Miami-Dade County in Florida, I know has one. I think theirs is more expensive though. I think theirs is like $35. But yeah, if you just do some research and you can find like a larger library system that you can have access to their digital library online. It's fantastic. It's a thing I learned. I am very lucky, and though I live in a small town, we have a fantastic library system. So I am very lucky. I haven't had to utilize anything else. So maybe Divergent and then an LOL at the end. Do you hate us? You want us to be in pain?
Oh, God.
Grace wants us to be in pain.
So many thoughts. So many feelings.
So many feelings. I'm like, I'm done with you. Be gone. Does anybody else have any comments, questions, or concerns before Kate and I run away for the evening? Again, your homework is to read The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson and to watch the TV series on Netflix of The Haunting House. Haunting the House? Yep, The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. And to read the first 2 chapters in The Foundations of Screenwriting Screenwriting by Sid Field. And it's about 30-ish pages. And do the activity at the end of chapter 2. Exercise. Is it an exercise? As an exercise, find a subject you want to explore in screenplay form. Oh, look at this. Bookright has a list of libraries for non-residents. Look at that.
Awesome.
You could go to World War II with All Quiet on the Western Front, or we could not. That would be great. I live in a rural town in Ohio. Our entire history education from kindergarten to 12th grade was literally just World War II. Never learned about anything but World War II.
Yeah.
We had like a massive like World War II exhibit art show. There was a World War II art show every year, and every student had to participate. Like you had to like write a poem or draw something or build a thing or do like a report or something related to World War II every year for 13 years.
Oh my God. See, and I was just thinking, like, I feel like we took US history every year, and then it was always like from the origin story up till World War II, and then they'd like run out of time for the year. And they're like, it's okay, we'll cover it next year. You're going to learn this. And every year we just ran out just a little bit after World War II. And so I was like, well, super helpful.
In 8th grade, we had a class that was specifically American Revolutionary War era, but we also had to do World War II.
World War II. Oh my God. What is up, Ohio?
They think they're a southern state, and they really wanted to be teaching us about the Civil War, but they weren't allowed, I think is what was happening. They really like World War II for some reason. Though, to be fair, I feel like some of my teachers were old enough they probably could have served in World War II. Maybe that's why. C.S. Lewis has a few adaptations. We could watch Ben Barnes.
You're like, what have we been doing?
What are we doing with our lives? We could be watching Ben Barnes. Clearly,
we go
straight to Prince Caspian. We don't even watch Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe because he's not in that, and no one cares. Straight to Prince Caspian.
This is what I admit. I don't think I ever saw those movies all the way through. I think I only ever caught snippets somehow. I mean, I'm on the Ben Barnes train. I'm here for it, but
Wallace isn't. Wallace hates Ben Barnes. He gives her the skeeves, and it cracks me up.
That is very funny.
Okay. Goodbye, Grace. We're also going to run away. I'm going to hit the button, and it's going to make us... Oh, that's not the right button. I'm going to hit that button, and then I'm going to say... Wave bye to all of our friends. Bye, friends. Bye.